Welcome to Blueprint Boost for Contractors, the podcast that's your go-to source for unlocking the secrets to successful marketing, gaining valuable insights, and growing your contracting business with less stress. Your host is David Brooks, and he's thrilled to be your guide on this journey. As a seasoned expert in the contracting industry, David understands the challenges you face. That's why each episode is crafted to provide you with actionable strategies and proven blueprints to boost your business to new heights.
We'd like to welcome everyone to the latest podcast episode. We do have a guest with us for this episode, and I'll allow him to introduce himself.
Thank you. I'm Bryan Mitchell. Our company is called the AdvantEdge. We teach people how to build their service department for commercial roofing, and really, as a result, how to get into commercial roofing effectively.
All right, excellent. Well, glad to have you on. Can you share just a little bit about your journey and how you started AdvantEdge?
Sure. Like all guys in roofers who are roofers, I started by building boats. Right? A boat is just an upside down roof, I figured out. And so you graduate from building boats to, okay, now we're on the roof. But I actually come from an estimating background. I was with an estimating commercial estimating software for several years, eventually the general manager of that company, the AdvantEdge, for a while. And then through that, a contractor that used the software, he actually bought the software from me, and I was friendly with him, so I made sure it was installed properly. So I'd pop over there on the weekend to help him get it installed and running. So when I left the AdvantEdge, he called me and said, "Hey, why don't you come and work for me?" I'm like, I never really thought of it before, but he was half a mile from my house. So it was an easy decision. And it's amazing how God works, because my son went through cancer and I could go to every appointment because it was right there. And, praise the Lord, he made it through. So that was all great. And while I was there, this guy was actually losing money as a roofer. And we got our first service truck in the company. I was vice president there. And when I retired from that company, they were doing $65 million in commercial roofing, 11 million in service, had 27 service trucks. So I kind of experienced the growth of that company over the years. I had a little gap where I was in the ministry, actually internationally. So I was out of the business for a while, but they enticed me back. And what amazed me is what we set up right at the beginning. First truck, we were really just duplicating by 27 when we were at a $11 million service business. So it was incredible. And I'm saying a lot, so just interrupt me at any time, David, once I get going. But when I retired, the owner of this company actually said to me, can you help this guy who's selling courses? So I wrote a course on how to do service. And if I knew what it was going to take, I probably wouldn't have, but it ended up with like 26 modules. And we've had about 150 commercial roofing companies come through our course already. We've got about 80 involved right now. And I don't think I've had a bad experience. One of the things I love really about what we do is we have peer groups as well. So we teach companies, and then we have companies helping each other and teaching each other. So I'm still learning every day, which is really cool.
Nice. I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that you said you're still learning every day. It's always lessons to learn along the way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for instance, I've been married for 38 years, and I'm definitely still learning in that area. Right? In fact, I can tell you, anybody who's listening, the first 38 are the worst, and then I think it's going to get better. But
it's just like it's a gradual process.
If I get slapped around the head, you'll hear it on the radio because there's my wife in the background.
Oh man, that is too funny. So also along your way in your journey, you were the former VP of service at Best Roofing. You managed that impressive growth from scratch to 35 service trucks and 15 million in service revenues. What were the key strategies or initiatives that contributed to the growth?
Yeah, so as I say, I was there right at the beginning. And then I was away at the ministry. I was in ministry for a while, and then I went back at the end. And really, I would say the absolute thing that stood out above everything else was the way we structured it right from the beginning. So the owner of Best Roofing is he's got a master's in business admin. So we're very structured. The accounting guy that he hired, at the same time as he hired me, was a CPA, brilliant guy. And so all of our planning was very structured, and process driven. And that's not easy to do in a roofing business because there's so much going on, and so having the foresight to build the processes, build the documents, make sure you start with the right things first. So I have a very simple pyramid that I train with our clients all the time. And the reason I've got it in the shape of a pyramid is because it sits on its base, nice and solid, right? A pyramid, the Egyptians knew what they were doing. Those things don't fall over easy. But you have to start by understanding what products and services you're going to provide. Because service is not about fixing leaks. You can't really scale a service department if you're just going to fix leaks. The value of each contract is so small, it's very difficult to scale. But if you think about it, the time that it takes to drive out there, put a ladder against the wall, get your tools up on the roof, if you have a bigger project, proportionately that overhead is less, right? So the key is to expand into quoted scope of work. So I like to talk about the 5 products that you want to offer as a service department. You do need time and material, and nowadays it's best to go half day, full day, because clients seem to be accepting of that. But you need that. That's almost like your marketing arm. That's where you get your opportunities. But then you should be doing quoted scope of work. If you're doing quoted scope of work, you can get your average job size up to $5, $7, $8,000, and now we've got a business. That growth that takes off. Service is going to be steady, but that'll take off. The next thing, you need to be working. You'll do warranty jobs, you'll do tenant upfit work. That's important, but maintenance is the next important component. So we had over 1,000 maintenance contracts, average of about $2,000 each. That means you open your doors every year with a couple of $1 million worth of business that you can do anytime. So you never have to send your guys home. You're always doing that. So making sure you understand what your products are going to be so you can build the infrastructure to support that. That's kind of key. Next level is production. Do these guys know how to fix a roof? Because if you don't fix it right, you get called back, right? And so your margins are down. And if you don't fix it right again, you'll probably never get another call back. So you've got to have good technicians. That means you've got to have a way of training them. You've got to have a system to use to train them. And so we're very big on that. You should have a way for the guys to grow in your company and advance. And so we talk about that a lot. We teach that. What are the things that an apprentice has to know in order to move up to the next level? And let's give him a 5-10 year journey so that he doesn't leave you, but he stays with you. And so you train him well and you get good, hardworking labor, because it's all about labor. You only make money when you're on the roof. Everybody's buying the materials, more or less at the same price. So it's all about labor. So it's key. That's the key. And then the next important thing, these are kind of happening at the same time as well, right? But the next thing you've got to be able to do is estimate accurately. everything in roofing starts with an accurate estimate. Otherwise, you're going to lose your shit. One of the fantastic things about maintenance and repairs is you come across the same thing every time you get on a roof. You know, you and I get on a TPO roof, we're going to come across the same 20, 30, 50 things every single time. So what I do is I pre-estimate. So I've got 250 pre-estimated deficiencies. So basically, I've got a price list now with material based on the spec sheet, with labor based on my production rates. Production rates are pretty common across the country. You know, if you do 15 linear foot of base flashing in Florida, it takes you an hour. If you do it in California, it takes you an hour. You know, it's the only difference might be if you're doing it with one arm or two, but generally the labor rates are about the same. So let's pre-estimate it so that we're ready, because service has to be sold. You can't just wait for calls. You've got to go out there and sell service. Especially when you're talking about quoted scope and growing an $11 million business, you know, or $5 million business, it's very, very, very profitable. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's hard to teach a roofer how to sell. You know, a lot of the owners can, but generally you want a salesman. And so I figured out how to teach a salesman how to sell roofing and how to inspect a roof. And once you achieve that, now you're in control of your sales overhead costs. Because I found in roofing, there's a lot of guys making a lot of money just doing repeat business, and the owners aren't benefiting as much as they should. So control your sales force, train your own sales force. Don't let them bring bad habits from other roofing companies in. Teach them from scratch. The last three guys I taught knew nothing about roofing. Two of them are still selling over $1 million in service every year. Other one is one of the top re-roofing salesmen now for a roofing company, and they didn't have any roofing experience. So this can be taught. We don't have any traditional training for roofing, which is unfortunate. But if you put a system together that you can train, you're going to get salesmen that can be effective and that you have some control over. And then just two more things. The next thing is administration. You know, if you want to win, you got to keep score, right? I mean, we can't win if we're not keeping score. And the trouble, if you're not keeping score, you don't even know when you lose. So metrics are so critical. And if they're simple but critical, they're about 5 or 10 metrics that we really want to have dialed in and checking every week, and then have a 4-week average, have a 12-week average, so we see which way we're trending. And those metrics, I can tell you, we went from like 6.2 million to 7.3 million from one year to the next in service, and we hit the number exactly as we predicted at the beginning of the year. And that's because we knew exactly how many proposals we had to deliver, what our closing ratio had to be, you know, what our average job size had to be, and we tracked it every single week. And then the last thing I would say is profit. You know, I can tell you, in my experience, a $10 million service business can pay the overhead for a $60 million roofing company. So, you know, that it's very profitable. You're looking at 65 to 70% gross margins. You know, so it's a great business to be in. But more importantly, if you're the guy getting on a roof and saying to an owner, hey, you don't have to replace this thing, we can extend its life. I can restore it. You know, I can save you the $1 million that you would spend on a re-roof and keep it in your pocket for 5 years. That's value.
There's, you know, really good value and a lot to unpack there. And, you know, going and seeing that along the way, you know, the steps and the things that you just laid out were very beneficial, especially for the audience and people that are listening. And along that journey that you've been able to be a part of, what are some of the most common challenges that you are still seeing today?
So labor is always a challenge, right? Labor is one of the big ones, and that's why I just feel like it's so important to train your guys well and give them a path forward so that they're going to stay with you. The other one is professional proposals, because when you're in this business, really the goal for you is to have the best possible clients, right? Corporate clients who have a budget for their roofs. And in order to get big corporate clients, you need professional proposals. You need professional sales guys presenting them, and you're not emailing them in, because then you just like all the others. But if I walk in with a professionally laid out proposal where they can see exactly how I've calculated this repair and what's wrong with the roof and how I'm going to extend its life for multiple years, and then do a coating or torch a cap sheet or reskin it and extend it for another 10 or 15 years and save them literally millions of dollars, their CPAs are going to be doing backflips. And, they're going to do business with you because you're a professional. And I don't think roofers realize how valuable they are. You walk a roof with, first of all, owners are very seldom on their roofs, right? I deliver a roofing proposal and the guy's looking at the picture of his roof more than he's looking at the proposal, because it's like, wow, that's pretty. But so we want to be able to explain exactly how we're going to extend the life of the roof. We've got to have pictures that show exactly what the problems are. And we want to give them choices. You don't have to fix everything on the roof, but I'm going to show you everything that's wrong with it. And I have to be a roofer to be able to identify those things. So if I do that, I'm providing the professional service that I should be as a roofer. And really, at the end of the day, I'm an asset protection manager. That's the most expensive asset usually on the building, and it's protecting every single other asset in the building. So it's critical to have that in good shape, and it's critical to have a roofer that you can trust who's going to keep it in good shape. You've probably seen, horror stories. One of them was down here in Florida. We get, like, one day we had 26 inches of rain. Well, if your drain is plugged, that roof's probably coming into your office, right? And nowadays we've got, they've improved the calculations for shedding water and that sort of thing. And now we're starting to have to put additional overflow scuppers in and that sort of thing. But not all roofers are up to speed. Not all roofs are up to speed. So there's an inherent danger there just because of the weight of water. Never mind the fact that sealant doesn't last more than 5 or 6 years in the sun, so it's guaranteed to leak in some way.
Yeah, so and that's the critical, when you're dealing with a commercial job and you're in charge of that roof, it's really two really good things or more that you just said. One is the roof has to be done right, because if it's not, they're gonna notice. And then it's the way that you present your proposals. Just sending over an email isn't just going to do it. You have to have that presentation to whoever person, whether that be you or inside your team, to be able to present that as a solution for what the business, exactly what they need.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. They want a professional
Mhm.
that's going to move them along. Another thing that I feel like is important is for you to have a service vehicle that you can have some inventory in. Because my approach to getting new business is I give myself a top 10 list or a top 100 list of companies that I would really like to have their business. So, we're talking about the professionals out there. And so if a weather system comes through, if it rains, I'll call my top 10 and say, hey, are you guys taken care of? And they may have a roofer that they love, but probably that roofer is busy because it's rain and they might have dropped the ball. And here's my opportunity to get in and take over that client. And I also found after couple of times of doing that, if they had a roof problem, they'd call me anyway, because they know I'm the responsive guy. So if you have a vehicle that has inventory, you can be Johnny on the spot and go fix any roof. You know, is it a TPO? Is it a modified? Is it a EPDM? Is it PVC? I've got it ready to go. And the other nice thing about those bigger vehicles is now you got a lot of advertising space. So it's a good approach to go.
Yeah, I definitely agree. You know, being able to have that ability definitely is going to set your business apart. And it's something that a lot of businesses, a lot of roofing companies can add into their framework, which would be very beneficial for them.
Exactly.
Mm. Now, as you know, you have a lot of great business objectives and things going on today. What are some of the most recent success stories that you've been able to kind of see recently by being able to help people inside of your program?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because we get guys coming in at all kinds of different levels. I got one client came in, they had already had 5 service trucks going, you know, so they got a really nice business. Now he blames me for the fact that he now has 12 service trucks. But quite frankly, I just watched him do the work, you know. So we guiding people. We have a lot of clients that don't even have a service department. So they learning how to set this up before they even get going. And then some of them are using subs initially to get their service done. It's not a program that's going to work for long, but at least you can get started because you really need to control those guys' schedules. But I love it. I was talking last night to one of my clients who is really a residential roofer, just getting into commercial, so using us to help him. Well, he got to walk a 13,000 square roof last week. He said it was like a quarter of a mile walk from one end to the roof to the other. So they excited as anything because that's a life-changing project. And so yeah, those are the things. I mean, I'm getting to see those things every week, which is really cool. But as I say, to me, the absolute best part is to watch the guys help each other. And, you know, what I found in the roofing industry, it's just really, this is a good group of guys who are not shy to help. And so that's been so awesome for me and personally to be able to help people. And, you know, that's what life's all about, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about helping and providing that value, and it's really nice to be able to see the successes of others and people that you've helped along the way, being able to accomplish the goals that they set out.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, you know, of course, I actually retired from the roofing business for one weekend and then got started in this. So I'm well rested.
So weekend was just enough for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, as someone that's been in the business for a long time and been around it, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs today as they're working on their growing their business?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things, of course, is to keep it in balance, right? Because I've heard people say that it's very rare that you'll hear somebody on their deathbed saying, "I wish I worked harder." You know, so keep it in balance, get your priorities right. I use a series of F's, you know, faith, family, finance, fun. Make sure you got fun in there. And make sure you got your family in track. But I mean, obviously money is up there with air, we have to have it, but keep it in balance. And then the other thing is lay out your goals. You know, if we want to do $500,000 in service next year, I'll just tell you right now, you're gonna need you're gonna be working about 3,800 hours. You know, you're gonna need 2 guys and a truck. You want to have that gross margin at about 65%, so you can make $325,000. But in order to do that, you're gonna have to have about 300 leads. So don't forget about the leads, because you can never have too many leads, because you can always pick and choose. Not all leads are equal. Make sure you look at that roof on Google before you go running out there and fix a, outdoor shed. And then once you have those leads, now we can work on getting a good proposal out, getting your closing ratio up. We've got something to work with. We got to have the vehicle moving, and leads is the key. Qualified leads. We can help you with what to do with them, but we got to have them coming in. So we do spend a lot of time on that, the marketing side and how we get the leads in as well. But it's all mathematical, right? It's a function of math. What dollars do I want to do? What's my average job size? And as a result, what's my closing ratio? How many leads do I need? So we can calculate exactly what you need. And then you can look at it every week and say, I'm on track, I'm going to do 500,000, or there's no way, I'm going to do 100,000 at this rate, or maybe I'm going to do 1 million because I've really got my leads together. But if you're not, so once you got your leads, now we're starting to look at my appointment ratio. How many of those leads turn into appointments and proposals? That's critical. And then once you start delivering those proposals, what's my closing ratio on those? And now I've got to get that information over to production effectively, because the next thing I'm looking at is, how's my job? Are we effectively doing the work and making money? So, just those few key components, and you want to make sure you're keeping those main things, the main things.
Oh, excellent. No, very well said. And then we'll like to share, the last point, or the last question as we were wrapping up is now 2024. Were you working on any new initiatives, or do you have anything planned this year?
Yeah, I've created an estimating software that generates proposals, and that for service specifically, because I found one of the things the guys struggled with was, roofers are always struggling with estimating, right? And because it's such a key component, having a good estimating tool for service is critical, and there really wasn't a good one out there. So I built it out. I built out about 250 deficiencies in there, so you don't have to build them from scratch. And then, of course, your proposal has to be professional. So that was the next component of that.
That's amazing. That's great that you were able to pick those things out and say, you know what, I think I can make something better.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, of course, the idea is that the tide raises all boats, right? So I'm hoping that the competitors will also look at it in that way, because there are 100,000 roofers out there. We got a lot of people to get doing this well.
Yeah, no, it's being able to provide that value, and you've been around for so a number of years, and you have that experience and that wisdom, so the deficiencies, and what it takes.
Yeah, well, I'm glad we're on a podcast because people can't see how old I actually am.
No, you're just a young man and with a long line of wisdom.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's excellent. Excellent. Well, Bryan, thanks so much for your insights and your wisdom. Thank you for coming on. We'd love to have you back on in the future and get into some more topics.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I really enjoyed meeting you. Great. Thanks so much.
Thank you again. We'd like to invite everyone to tune in again for our next episode. And don't forget to follow and leave your comments. Until next time.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Blueprint Boost for Contractors. We hope you found today's insights and strategies valuable for your contracting business. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and please leave us a review. Your feedback helps us bring content that truly matters.